Hey family, it's Tasha MAMABEAR prepping. You already know what time it is. Get your drink, pull up. Let's talk about it. Today I want to talk about infrastructure, different things that are happening around the country. How do you prepare for that? How do you get ready? How will this affect you and your family? And hopefully motivate you to continue to push forward. So, you know, it's no surprise. I think Fox News actually showed a map recently of all the derailments all over the country, and it's insanity when you look at it, when you look at the map. But I almost feel some type of way about what's going on. You know, one, we already dealt with this about a year ago. Last year it was all about the food distribution fires, food distribution plants, different plants like that, just one after the other catching fire. And we're like, what is the coincidence of all these places catching fire? And then now we're in the year of derailments. It's just one after another. But I kind of feel like, you know, and of course there's stories, there's all this stuff going on about how this is feeding into the agenda, how this is very, very bad, how there's different aspects of this that could affect us in a negative way, to include the pollution piece of it and the government's ability to be able to take your land, to take, and make you basically flee where you live due to pollution, right? And there's all types of other stuff that, in avenues that people are taking this discussion, right? And it's not good. None of it actually is good. I haven't really heard one good outcome or reasoning behind this happening and what it could do. But it's going to affect you, right? Anytime our infrastructure is attacked like that, in that way, especially if it has to do with food and food production and farming and has an aspect or a negative impact on those things, that's very, very bad. So we're going to see the impact of these, just like we've been seeing the impact of the other things like the food distribution plants, right? You know, just something as simple as the trains, right? You know, those trains, the minute they go down, yes, there's the aspect of pollution or not pollution. A lot of these trains do not have polluted items on them. They're just derailments. But several of them do have pollution on them. They have pollutants, right? They have different things on them that could be harmful, hazardous material, right? And but the bigger picture, too, on top of that is, even if you're just like, well, it's just a regular derailment. Derailments happen because derailments do happen because why? Our infrastructure is trash, okay? But that stops that track. That track now is done. Anything that was supposed to come behind that track, depending on where these are happening, what I would like to know is if anybody is watching and is part or knows about the train infrastructure systems and how it works. I know that there's tracks and you're able to switch tracks, especially if it's an actual location that has a lot of furrowways and just different ways that directions that you can send trains, right? And so I know that you can send a train a different way and still get it to where it needs to go, right? However, that one track now is trash. It's done. It has a train all over it that's not cleanup that happens in a day or two, right? And therefore that stops production, anything that was coming down that train track, okay? And now that stuff has to be diverted and gone through different places, okay? And if you have these happening all over, that process of that, figuring that out, and diversions and moving food and moving pickups and farm pickups for picking up food, and, you know, taking food places, taking grains places, taking products that people need places, that has a ripple effect of how that's going to affect us, right? But I think the bigger conversation here is our infrastructure and how horrible it is, and how for years and years politicians and government have promised that they're going to use money. They ask for money. They get these packages with money that is supposed to be allocated for infrastructure. And infrastructure, you guys, is a lot of things. It's our railroads, yes. It's our water places, water treatment facilities. It's our sewer systems. It's our what else? Our electricity grid. It's the roads. It's the bridges. It's all of that, right? And none of that is being taken care of. It's the lighting system. It's everything that has to do with our grid and what makes our grid, you know, good in the sense of us being able to get around, right? You know, we've had attacks. This is an attack. We've had attacks. And unfortunately, this is our own doing if this is happening due to, you know, negligence. You know, we have this thing in the military called maintenance, right? And we hate it. We absolutely hate it, right? Because we do it all the time, every day, all day long. And that is basic maintenance, preventative maintenance every single day. There's not a day that doesn't go by that you're not doing preventative maintenance on something, on some piece of equipment, something that we use, everyday things. And this could be just keeping up on something, keeping it clean, making sure that parts are replaced, whatever, okay? Doing that simple thing, which is tedious and annoying, right? But if it's the norm, then you keep things from breaking down, things last longer, and things are in good shape and not in a horrible state like our infrastructure is. You know, our roads, our bridges, I'm surprised we haven't had more catastrophes, to be honest, that have to do with our infrastructure, especially when it comes to just our bridges and different thoroughways, different places that people go through, millions of people travel over and go over, right? I don't know. I just know that it's bad. And the way you and I, as just a basic citizen, as a basic family, prepare is we just ensure that you're continuing to do the things, continuing to see what's happening, watch what's happening, understand that that's going to affect your supplies, your demand to be able to just grab something off the internet and get it. Things are going to be running late. You're not going to be able to get things. This has a longer effect as far as food production, food getting somewhere, getting to the grocery store, being processed. All that stuff matters, right? All of this stuff is playing into the famine that is going to be here one day. We do not have enough. And with these things happening, it's just making it worse. And I tell you what, this grid, it goes down. It's a lot of people are not going to understand what to do. There's a lot of, I shouldn't say stupid, but there's a lot of people that are like really, really dumb in the sense of truly they do not understand basic things in our society, right? I could do a whole video on just our youth and where that is going, right? But it's important. It's important for you to pay attention, to continue to track this stuff. I think it's kind of funny that main media, is covering this. I mean, if anybody I thought was going to cover it, it is a channel like Fox, even though they're main media, right? They're nobody to be trusted, just like the other folks, right? But they're showing it. They're showing maps. They're showing all these derailments. I mean, some of these states have 2, 3 derailments. Ohio just had another one either to this morning or last night. I mean, they just had another one. Nothing of hazardous material, but they just had another one, and it was the same company. That's Southern Virginia, something like that, train company. They're like 3 or 4 of the derailments across the country are from them, but there's like 2 or 3 in South Carolina. There was one in Florida. There was one in Louisiana, Alabama, Texas, all these states, Oregon, Idaho. There's a bunch of upper eastern area that have this stuff. I mean, it is insanity, the fact that we have this happening and it's continuing to happen, and it's almost like the balloon thing. And stay with me for a minute. It's almost like, okay, we as Americans think, okay, our airspace is safe, we're watching it, there's no way anything could happen. All of a sudden something happens major that because of social media, all eyes are on it, we all saw it. Then all of a sudden we started shooting down stuff, right? Because I think we reacted. We were reactive like everything else we do. There was obviously a hole. There was obviously a weakness. There was obviously at some level of airspace that we were not monitoring on a regular basis, and or we were monitoring, but we were not taking it as any kind of threat level, right? All of a sudden we're looking at it and now we're shooting things down. And then that stopped. And that stopped either 2 things. Either we stopped telling people we're shooting stuff down, or things stopped coming into our airspace because they realized, man, America's shooting stuff down, like don't go over there, right? But it was reactive, very, very reactive in how we did that. And you could tell like we were learning about something and reacted to it. The derailments is crazy. It's because it's like one is happening, a couple are happening, and then now all of a sudden they're everywhere. And were they always happening at this level, and we just never covered it and we never really cared about it. And because such a big one happened in Ohio, that's a big one with the hazardous materials. That stuff's going to have effects for years and years and years. Because that happened, now we're paying attention to all these derailments that always happened. This level always happened. Or is it weird? It's something more, and it's never been this many like this. This is a coincidence. There's never been this many, or has there? And we've just never known it as a people, because we've never really put two and two together and put it and made sure that the people saw that, hey, you know, this is going on in all types of other states. And or is it just the ability of now you have social media, you have all these sleuths, you have all these people paying attention that connect the dots and are like, are you seeing this? Like crazy, you know, derailment stuff. And normally, you know, you wouldn't take an event like that and then be like, oh, but it just happened in another state. You wouldn't normally just skip to that and be like, oh my gosh. But it is, oh my gosh, when it's like that goes to something, to that goes to something. I mean, literally was how it happened in like 3 or 4 days in a row, derailments. And now it's been every few days there's a derailment. So it's crazy, right? Then it can't be a sense of our infrastructure is trash, but it does make you wonder if there's something else more nefarious happening here. Is this someone actually physically trying to attack these train tracks, right? Or these trains themselves, right? During maintenance or whatever, right? Is it an inside job? Because it is crazy that this many tracks are all of a sudden at the same time failing. And normally, yes, you could say, and you could, you know, deduce, you know, that, hey, could more than one happen at a time? Yes. They're trash. They're trash. They're trash. Have you seen what they look like? They're horrible. But I'm telling you, a coincidence where they are all happening back to back to back, all of a sudden in this period of time, they all decided to go and have issues, whether it's the train track itself or whether it's the train, whatever it is. I mean, you can make sense of it a little bit with the one company being, you know, being part of 3 or 4 of these derailments. But to have all these derailments across different states and different train companies and different, you know, tracks even, and infrastructure, right? Different levels of infrastructure, it shouldn't be happening like this. So it really is like, what is happening here? What is happening here? Of course, we're never going to get the picture. But for you and I, it's just about you just continue to push forward, because this is going to have ripple effects to your supply, your chain and supply. You know, your ability to be able to just demand and push it a button and get something and get it quickly could be affected, right? And this could have effects way later down the road, to where you're like on it right now. You're paying attention. Time goes by, and then you see the effects, and people don't even put 2 and 2 together when, you know, they can't find food on the shelves, there is no fresh fruits and vegetables, whatever it is, that impact that people start to feel, and they're like, what is going on? My Amazon is late all the time now. Like, and not even understanding that that's ripple effects from all these things that have been happening over the last few years, right? It's insanity out here. It's insanity, all right? But all you can do is just continue to push forward, stay positive, stay motivated, keep paying attention to what's going on, but because it's wild out here, these things that are happening, and we're just being expected to be like, oh, it's just regular news. It's just nothing to see here. You know, derailments, no big deal. We already know that the train tracks are trash, and we already know we haven't put money towards this. No big deal. That's why. Or, oh, no big deal. There's derailments all the time, all over the country. You just didn't know about it before, and now we're tracking it, and so now you know. And I would say that if this was the norm the whole time, we have problems. We have huge problems, and we should be happy and blessed that people have not died, right? That lots of people have not died. So I don't know. Hopefully you guys are still enjoying the channel over here. Patreon, we're having a good time over there, diving deep into stuff. Today, I'm about to go into a doozy with them in regards to viruses and different things that are going on. So we'll see how that goes today. I hope you guys stay well, and I'll see you guys tomorrow in the next video. Take care. Bye.